Hi there guys, it's Joey, and today's video is going to be a fairly extensive look at envelope magic. And this is the magic that can be done around the idea of an envelope. A relatively simple thing, but you'd be surprised at how multi-use it can be and how you can use it in different ways. Now this has been inspired by the fact that I actually won a competition, and I won this amazing pentagram stamp. And I wanted to show ways in which I would use it. So I thought I would do a whole video about envelope magic and ways in which you can use envelopes and so forth. I actually already have a sealing wax that I've used in previous times, so I'm going to use that rather than the new one out of the set that I won. But I was thinking about this and thinking how varied it actually is in terms of what you can actually do with envelope magic. And for sake of the video, one normal envelope and two homemade ones, and I'll talk at length about all of this in a second. So if we consider what an envelope actually is in terms of symbology, what does an envelope symbolize to you? News, a letter, information, the receiving of something. It used to be really exciting to receive a letter from your friends or your family, and it's kind of died a bit because of the internet and the easy accessibility of letters. And my best friend and I still send each other's letters because we think it's more personal, and there's something a lot more special about receiving a letter in an envelope than an email, say. It takes more effort, it usually means a lot more, there's usually more of a message attached to an envelope. There's also an element of surprise, of secrecy within envelopes, because technically you don't know what's in it until you open it. So without the energy and the action of opening it, whatever is in it is secretive. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but sometimes it's far more exciting when you actually look at a card, or in fact a present. They look more exciting before you know what's in them, and it's a weird play on your mind that way. So there's all this symbology within envelopes anyway. The news side of things, the receiving of something, the hidden of something, and quite often you'll get things in letters to express emotions. So you'll get a congratulations card, whether it be for birthdays, whether it be for an action such as passing your driving test or passing your tests in school. Quite often there's an emotion attached, or there might be a deepest sympathies card, or there might be all sorts of things often come with emotions attached within envelopes, and they're quite emotive things when you think about it, because when people take the time and effort to write something or send something in a letter, in an envelope, in a card, whatever, the extra effort and thought has actually gone into it. So I just wanted to cover a little bit of the ground ideas of why I wanted to go into envelope magic. I obviously did win the pentagram stamp, and I wanted to show me using it and how much I appreciate it, and give other people ideas of what to do with these sort of things. You don't need the stamp to do envelope magic though, it's just a bonus, and I will discuss that in a second. So as I said, you can use pre-bought envelopes. This is just a spare one that I had, or you can make your own. So I'm going to put the pre-made one away for a second and talk about the ones that I made. Now, I made two, and there's a very small one and a slightly bigger one, and you can really make these as big as you want. But the first one is the Simple Wish envelope, and all you need for this is card and a pen. So it's really the simplest and easiest of all envelope spells, and I would recommend burning it once to release the wish. personally. If it was my advice, I would burn it in your cauldron. I won't do that on camera just to be safe. But here's my working candle, and I take my simple wish and I set it to fire and pop it in the cauldron and let the fire consume it. So the idea behind the simple wish spell is about the magic of the envelope, colour magic, and symbol magic. So I picked this one for yellow, and I picked that primarily because it's coming up to Letha. So with it, it's only just folded like an envelope at this size. I don't think you need to go into too much detail. So literally, it's 3-folded like so, and it just looks like a little envelope. Let's get a little bit closer. Okay, so wish, you would write down your wish here, and I've drawn a sun symbol in gold metallic pen for the wish to represent that it would be burnt at Letha, and happiness as the symbol. Okay, so this is a good spell, a good wish spell for general happiness. Yellow is the colour of happiness and sun energy, so it would be perfect for Letha. And then you would burn the wish thing, and obviously the summer solstice is all about fire. It's a good fiery festival. And additionally, I've got a whole bunch of different coloured card out. So you would colour coordinate your card colour to what your simple wish was. If you wanted to be rid of something or somebody, you could use black. Happiness is the yellow, which we've seen. White is a good multicolour one, so if you could only get hold of paper, or if you could only get hold of white card, you can use that for all things. It's your intent that matters. Blue would be wonderful for healing, green for prosperity, and pink for love. So that's the colour aspect of the envelopes, and because these are so simple to do and make, you can make a few, and you could have 3 little wish spells all for Letha using the power of the solstice. Burn it in your little candle, and that's your wish candle, good and simple. You can seal it if you wanted to with wax. I'm not going to seal this one. I'll probably seal the bigger one just to show you as we go through. But that's the simple wish envelope. So let's pop that over there now we've done that. So the slightly bigger one is slightly more well made. So I've folded down the edges here like so, so then it would fold up like that, and you're actually going to seal it on the front. You could also run a little bit of wax down the edge here and here and just seal that up once you've done what you need to do with it. Now, similarly as to the wish spell, you could then take an appropriate pen colour of your choice, so they've got some of the markers here, or you could use a normal pen if you didn't have access to that, and you can write your wish in here. So let's go with the same idea. So you then draw the sun for Letha, and then you could even write your wish. I wish for happiness, I wish for whatever, purification of X, I wish for enough funds to be able to do this, and whatever your wish may be. And then you can, if you so desire, put things into your larger, more in-depth spell envelope. Now, if you're going to burn your spell envelope, like the little one, I would recommend that you only use herbs. I'm going to discuss putting other things into envelopes in a bit, but if you are going to be putting this in the fire, and the bigger one would be better on a more bonfire setting for Letha, because Lethas do have bonfires and such like. then I would recommend just herbs. So marigold would be perfect for happiness. And you just pop your herbs on top. And then the most important thing then is the visualization process, the filling it with your energies and your intent. So you would want to be concentrating on what it was that you think would make you happy, for example, or visualize yourself laughing or being happy or however it is, and you would just push all your energy into the spell as you were going along. You can hold the herbs in your hand and visualize, you can hold the envelope in your hands and visualize, and then put it all together like so. Let's see if I can get this to light, get the wax thing to light. It's been a while since I've used this one. Okay, so this is an older wax. Good, there we go. Right, so I'm going to show you how you drip wax onto your envelope then. So I need to relight it because it doesn't want to light. What if you light from there? Don't really want to get wax in the spell can. Alright, so hold it over, being very, very careful not to burn you. You're gonna... Oh my goodness. Don't burn the paper, thank you very much. That's something to be careful of. So just be careful when you're doing this to have a safe environment, and if you're not of a certain age, have parental permission and supervision. Okay, so that's just sealing it in, and when you're holding it down to seal it in, you can be focusing on your intention. So then we fold it over again, and we will attempt to get this to wax properly. I'm going to hold it down like that. No, not heavy enough. Okay. We'll just hold it. Are you going to light for me, please? I talk nicely to you. Come on. Oh, wunderbar. Okay. And then you're holding your wax over the seal. It's not burning very quickly with this, so it might take... Are you going to go out? Again, this is just something I wanted to show on camera. You don't have to do the sealing part. I know you can't see my hand, what I'm doing very well. I'm just holding it over like this. I'm having to do that because the candle's part of the sealing wax is not staying very well lit. La la. This is what happens. By the way, if this happens to you when you're doing an actual spell, that's the port lighter, I should have realised, then don't get discouraged. Like, these things happen all the time. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try your spell. Just laugh and giggle. If a spell isn't meant to work, it won't work. Sometimes we get a bit tested when we're doing magic and spell work. Okie dokie. And we hold that down on the envelope. Voila! And there we go. So that's for burning. And that only has herbs in it, as you've seen. I only put marigold in. If you wanted to make up your own herbal blend specific to a certain spell before you put that in an envelope, that would be something wonderful you could do. So over there, I'll move and grab it. Do 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 do. Is my Letha incense, which is still imbuing. And this has been imbuing with energies such as those of the citrine and those for Letha. Courage, happiness, fieriness, protection, all those sorts of elements that I have on purpose put into this incense blend. Now if I wish to use this incense blend within the spell envelope, I could do that quite easily because it's designed to burn on incense charcoal blocks, so there would be no harm in me using the same thing for the same spell and just doubling over, just making use, not rather than, you know, anything going to waste. So a word of caution about burning magic. As always, burning magic is my favourite, but I have to warn people to be very careful, very cautious, do it in a heat-proof pan in a safe location, and if you're not of age, make sure you have permission and all the rest of it. So these are just ideas. So that's the second spell envelope idea. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about spell envelopes that perhaps you weren't going to burn. So if you had a spell envelope and you're not going to burn it, I mean, you can technically bury these things, but it's on you whether you think it would just harm the environment and what you're actually using. I mean, if you were using paper, how biodegradable is the paper that you're using? Can you get hold of natural stuff that biodegrades? That is something that you have to think about. I personally don't tend to bury a lot of things, especially if it's going to harm the environment, but each to their own. If you're going to not burn it and not bury it, you can use all sorts of things within a spell envelope. So let's say you wanted an envelope to honour your ancestors, to connect with spirits, to place underneath your ancestor altar and leave it there. And why would you do that in the first place? Well, you could do that for the very simple reason that envelopes are a manifestation of messages, of secret messages, of messages from loved ones. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with using spell envelopes in this manner. You could then use some white card perhaps, or black card, but white is multi-purpose, and make your own little envelope up. And then you could, depending on the size of it, you could place appropriate herbs in there. So what would I use? I mean, if it was for a specific relative, I would use a specific herb which tied into them. Lavender always reminds me of my grandmother because she used to smell like lavender, so I would probably use lavender in a one for honouring her. Or sage, because the sage and onion stuffing is so tied into my memory with my grandmother. And then you can use other things within that envelope. So you could put crystals in, and you could put tokens that they had left you in. You could use imagery. Now, I've got these from last Halloween. These are spirit stickers. Woo! And there's absolutely nothing wrong with using something like this if it helps you tie into that message of a loved one. So what if you were doing a spell for another reason? What if you had somebody who was directing negative gossip against you, for example, because they are spreading gossip, which is negative messages about you? And it happens. You then take your black card and create an envelope, and you would fill it with herbs to purify the situation, or perhaps use herbs that would basically bring their false messages to light, or something along those lines. You could use chili for that sort of thing. I would use possibly garlic, the outside peel of garlic for that sort of thing. Rue is really good for that. Agrimony is really good for that. I don't have those out. I didn't think of getting those out for this. And then you would create your envelope from black and fill it with those herbs. You could put crystals in if you wanted to as well, to reflect back anything that they're doing. And then you could use something like this. This is a sticker of poison. It's not actually showing up very well. How about if I do this? There you go. That's from last Halloween as well, and you could use all of that to put together a black envelope, and that would then be counteracting the negative gossip about you, and you could carry it around with you quite easily. Like I mean, something of this size and even of the slightly bigger size, you can pop that in your bag or by your bedside if it's happening when you're having, you know, you're having dreams about it or whatever. So that's another thing that you can do with spell crafting with envelopes. Now, on a much nicer note about envelope magic is something else you can do, is twofold ideas. Okay, and both are about gifts. So if you have a friend who is pagan, or even a friend who just liked that sort of thing, you could put together for them a little friendship envelope, a little gift envelope. And now, if you're going to do this and you're going to put slightly bulkier items in a spell envelope for them, don't just send the envelope in the mail, because they're quite flimsy and they get ripped, or people know that there's something in them and they go awry. But if you're going to see them, if you're going to put it in with something else, it can be a really nice idea for a little themed gift for friends. So you could put herbs in there, like so. If you're doing it for Aletha, you know, you could put some herbs in there. You could either get a little bag, a much smaller bag than that. I don't think I've got a little one on hand. A small amount of herb in. You could put their favourite herb in it, or you could put appropriate herbs for a particular day. So say you were doing this for Aletha for them, marigold would be great for that. Or if they had all their favourite colours, you could put them all in their favourite colours and that sort of thing. You could create for them a balanced of the elements envelope. I will get there. You obviously can't put water in an envelope, but you can put mini seashells, and you could even put mini seashells in a little glass vial. In they go. Whee! Half go all over the place. Da, da, da. This makes quite a cute little gift, and it's so blooming easy, especially if they are pagan and they follow anything like Aphrodite or anything. This would be amazing. And there you go. And you can put anything in there. You could put crystals in there, you could put herbs in there, you could put seashells in there, you could put anything you want in there, really, within reason. And that is a double fold message for them, because it's a message in a bottle in an envelope. So it's double over that sort of, and it fits in. Voila, in it goes. And so you could put together their own little elemental one. So water, fire, earth, and air. And that's nothing if not simple. You know, you've got something for each element. Spirit would be your energies and things going into the actual envelope, but all of these little small things, and they'd make a great little gift. You know, I'm sending you the balance of elements within this envelope, etc. So the final idea that I had for envelope magic is something that's really quite dear to my heart as an idea, and I've never seen anybody do this, to my knowledge. So basically, this is going to be a spell envelope for my goddess. And you can do it for your goddess in general, or your god in general. You could just make it very generalised. Or you can do it specifically, like I'm going to do. So, the first thing that I would probably do is I would write a message for my goddess. Here we go. So the piece of paper, or piece of card rather, that I have written my message on is black for her colour. She has multiple colours, but black is the easiest and most identifiable, and it's wonderful for silver writing, and silver is the colour of the goddess. So I've written Hail Morrigan on mine. Just let that dry off for a minute and imbue on the pentacle. And then you would then put things into your envelope for your goddess. So, depending on the size of the envelope, I have a large and a small black feather that I have been finding them absolutely everywhere recently. I have enough to make my own raven and a half. So that actually fits in there, the larger one, so that's nice. I think this should be, yeah, good, right. So popping in my message, Hail Morrigan. And then I would choose some crystals. Now for me it would be amethyst chip. So let's see what we can see. I usually pick 3. Yeah. Okay, come on. Medium, dark and light, and I do that for each aspect of the goddess. So Maka, Anu and Babe. Maka, Anu and Babe. Okay. What else can we put in here? The Morrigan has a strong water aspect, which people often don't realise. She's tied into the legends of Morgana Le Fay and the Isle of Avalon and all that sort of water-inspired things. She's associated with rivers and things as well within the Celtic mythos, and quite frequently, and I have advised others on this, meditating in the bath is a really fantastic way to connect with the Morrigan. So, seashells can go in there. And I think the final thing I will put in for this video will be herbs. So you could pick 1 herb, or you could pick 3 herbs. I mean, you could have your own herbal blend on hand to put in for your goddess if you so wished. So I'm going to go with 3 that I frequently use with the Morrigan. They're not necessarily associated with her in all the books and things, but they are ones that I connect with her and therefore spirit use. So the first one is a handful of cornflower petals. The second one will be a pinch of mugwort. And finally a pinch of angelica root. So just to show them on camera, angelica root, mugwort, cornflower petal. If you so wish, you could then use stickers and things. I mean, I could use the skeleton sticker if I wanted to within this. I don't think I will. But you can use things like that, you know, if you had stickers that you so wish to use to honour your goddess, you could use that. I mean, skulls and things are perfectly appropriate for the Morrigan. I just don't like that skeleton picture very much, so anything that I don't like is not going in. Right, so we'll have another go at sealing. She says, this worked so well last time, let's see if we can get a better job for this time. Come on, seal for me, seal for me, so urgently. Okay, so basically what you're doing is sending messages to your goddess. Messages to the goddess. This is going to be interesting as well because it's going to look like blood stains. Oh, Morrigan. We're nothing if not symbolic, aren't we? Symbolic human beings and goddesses alike. It's a bit morbid, I realise. It's a little bit morbid, but she is a warrior goddess and all that good stuff. There we go, there we go. So what you're doing when you're doing these sorts of envelopes to your goddess, or you could do it to your spirit guide, or all those sorts of things. How about if I seal now? Will you seal then? It's kind of like an offering. You could, in theory, do one of the your goddess, put your appropriate herbs in a wish envelope and burn that. But this one will go underneath the altar. How are we doing? We good? Yeah, we're good. So that's then sealed. Look how much that looks like blood on there. Oh dear. Morrigan. Gotta love her. I know I do. And that will go... Oh, I've cracked myself up now, sorry. That will go under your altar. And you could do that with your ancestry stuff as well. You just place it under your altar. You can do that with spell work. If you didn't want to burn it, you could place it somewhere to imbue and then take it to pieces after a set amount of time, a month, full moon to full moon, or a year if you felt you were alright leaving it there for that amount of time. It's entirely up to you, but you know, I think letters and more specifically envelopes are an incredible form of magic which we don't often hear a lot about. There are people that sell envelope magic, so I'm aware that people do sell them, but I don't think we ever really talk about it an awful lot, and I just had some wonderful ideas inspired by this incredible competition win, which I'm so thankful for. Oh, and why to use the stamp? Why seal your... Oh, that might be a good idea, Joe. Yeah, so the added idea of sealing something, okay? So in the case of this, when I'm using the pentagram, or pentacle technically, because it is within a circle, is using that as the imagery. You know, there is so much imagery and symbology within the pentagram to witches in particular, and it's the balance of the elements within that, so you're effectively stamping it with a symbol of divinity, a symbol of balance. And it's giving that extra goddess stamp of approval. And in another way, you're also sealing something. So basically you're containing your intent within the envelope. So it's like that added, and this is where my intent stays. I don't want my intent bleeding out from what I have created. I have put my herbs in and I've imbued them. I've put my crystals in and I've imbued them. I've written a message in and I've meant it. I've gone and found that the goddess has gifted me a feather and I've put that back in there in thanks and in offering. I might have made my own incense and put that in there and sealed it. And it's just for that purpose only. It is just for that goddess only. It is just for that friend if you're sending it to a friend, and it is sealed for them, and it's the idea that it is sort of secret and private and just for them. If you can't get hold of a proper sealing wax and a proper stamp, it's nothing to worry too much about. You can in effect, if you're very, very careful, use a spell candle like this and just drip a little bit of wax over the top. So, but be very careful with this sort of thing. Again, you see that even as I was using this sealing wax, which is proper sealing wax, a little bit of it did catch flame and you had to be very cautious with it. So that is a warning side of this. Do be very, very careful. And if you cannot, or if you think you should not use sealing wax, then just don't use it. Just seal it the old-fashioned way, or tie a ribbon around it, tie some string around it, do it that way, and keep safe that way. So I hope this was an interesting and informational video. It's probably gone on for quite some time now. I feel like I've been talking forever. But I really did have lots of ideas with envelope magic, and I wanted to share them with you all. So that is it for this video for today. Many blessings.